Welcome back to Swiss Army Guitar, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the videos as much as I am enjoying making them. Today, we're going to talk about a problem that I find with many guitarists that I've encountered playing out. And there's a lot of great guitarists out there that already have the, if it sounds good, it is good idea, and they play by ear and do a great job. But when it does come time to say, hey, we need to change keys here, instead of A, let's move up to a B, they sometimes get lost because they don't know how to find the notes. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 3 ways to find any guitar note using what I call landmarks. And there's 3 different ways that I use those landmarks. So if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to my channel and like down at the bottom. Here we go. Today we're going to talk about 3 different ways to find any note on the guitar neck using what I like to think of as landmarks. Now, you'll often hear people in real life say things like, I'm not real good with directions, I really can't find my way around, but if you give me a landmark, I can find anything. Well, that really, I feel, applies to the guitar, and it applies to the guitar very well. If you look at the piano keyboard that I'm displaying right now, you'll see that there are always going to be half steps between B and C and E and F. And everything else, there's going to be a black key between them. And we can kind of translate those keys, white and black, to the guitar, except they're frets on the guitar. So if you start with the B string right here, which is the 5th string down, that's the B string, the next fret is going to be a C, just like on a keyboard. There's nothing between those. But between the C and the D, you'll see that there is a black note, and that's either called C sharp or D flat. Then you've got another white key, D. Then you've got a black note between that and the next white one, which is D sharp or E flat. Then you've got E, nothing between E and F. Then you've got F sharp, which is a black note. Then you've got G, G sharp, A sharp, and back to B. So there's your 12 notes. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is you've really got to learn the open notes. And what I mean by open notes are what the strings ring, what their tone is when you're not fingering a note on them. And you have to know those. You have to be able to do that to change your guitar strings. You have to be able to talk about them when you're talking about playing open chords or with bandmates if you're playing in a band. So you might as well at least get to know those. And basically the lowest one is an E. And then you've got an A. That's the 2nd string down. Then the next higher sounding string, the 3rd string down, is D. Then you've got G. Then you've got B. And then you've got E. So the first thing you can do is memorize those notes like on the keyboard and use those to find any note first. So like on the lowest string, E right here, we know there's nothing between E and F, so this is going to be an F. Then you've got an F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, etc., etc. If you start on the 2nd note down, which is an A, there is something right after an A. There's a black note, and that will be A sharp or B flat. Then you've got B, but there's nothing between B and C, so the next note is C. Then C sharp, D, D sharp, E, and there is no black note after E on a keyboard. The next note is just another white key, F, etc., etc. Then you've got D, D sharp, E, F. There's that half step. F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. Then you've got G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F. I already did the whole B string before. And then up here on the high E is exactly the same as the low E. E, F, nothing between. F sharp, G, G sharp, A, etc., etc. Now, that might seem easy, But if you've ever tried to play and find any notes on the guitar, you'll notice that it's very hard to do that and be able to do it quickly and stay up with, you know, other bandmates or people you're talking guitar about with. And it's a little bit overwhelming. So just knowing how to count up the neck and knowing what the open strings are is not always going to be the best, but it is a good place to start. So if I tell you, you know, find a D note to play a D chord, you could go A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. Okay, we could use that one right there. And then we could play some kind of a D minor, whatever. But some people overlook sometimes that the 12th fret, and that's the one with the 2 dots. You'll always see 2 dots on the 12th fret. Those are the same exact notes as the open strings an octave higher. So you could count downwards. So if I wanted to find a D on this string right here, knowing that open is E and 12th fret is E, I can just go back E, E flat, D. There's D. And then D flat, C. There's nothing between C and B, so I know that's going to be a B, B flat, A. Same with this right here. This is the B string, the 5th string down. So this is going to be a B as well. Above it is C, as we know, but below B would be B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E. So if you're trying to find notes quickly, it's a good idea to be able to use your open strings to count up, but don't overlook that the 12th fret counting down might be better. If I'm trying to find a D on the high E string here, well, we're already past D, so we might want to start at the higher one and go down to get D, and that might be an easier way to find it. All right, now the second technique that I use, or the second landmark, is actually the 5th fret notes. But honestly, I don't remember them all. When I'm playing, and I'm going to get into another video here soon in my series, when I'm playing little triad shapes, when the rhythm guitarist is playing full shapes like a G, I might be playing while they're going, just to add some variety and add some higher notes. I'm looking for this note to find that chord. So I'm looking for all the notes on the B string right here, which is the 5th string down. So it's always good to know those. I'm always finding notes on the low strings too, especially when we're playing rock and roll songs with, you know, some power chords. So the low string, the 5th string, which is B, and the high E string is the same as everything on here. So I'm learning those notes, and that's a lot easier than having to learn them all. I'm also looking for notes on the 5th string often. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. So I'm using those a lot too. But the reason I find that beneficial, and the reason I don't have to find all strings notes, is I use what are called octaves. And octaves are kind of easy to find. Let's say I want to play an A on this low E string. I've got E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Right there's A. Okay? You'll start to memorize that. It'll be a landmark for you. When someone says play an A, you're going to know right to go right there. But if you go up 2 more strings, so from here up 1, up 2, and then up 2 frets, that's an octave higher. So it's the 1st string and the 3rd string 2 frets higher. That's an octave. So now if I know an A is here, I can find an A on the 3rd string very easily too. If I wanted to find an F on that same string, it's right there. Same thing works with the 2nd string down. If I want to find a C, this is A sharp, B, C. If I go up 2 strings and up 2 frets, I've got a C right there too. They're just an octave apart. So once you've made a landmark, you could do something like, okay, I want to find a D on this string right here. Here's a C. If I go up here, there's a C, and I know that D would be 2 frets higher, which is also an octave higher than this one. So I do that. And also, if you know all the notes on this string right here, you can find octaves from there as well, but you might think, oh yeah, just go 2 frets down and 2 frets lower. But listen to how that sounds. Let's say we're going to play this A note right here. 5th string down, A. B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. If I play 2 frets down and 2 strings lower, awful sound. That octave shape doesn't work for those. But watch if I go 1 more fret lower. There we go. A. Why does that happen? Why isn't it the same shape? Well, it has to do with the way that we tune a B. When we tune the B string, through history, guitarists, when they were developing technique with guitar, realized that if we didn't tune this string to B, we wouldn't have enough fingers to hold certain chords. So by tuning it down to B, we could play a G chord with only 3 fingers instead of 4 fingers. And there's certain chords that you wouldn't be able to play like that. Here's an A chord, right? Here's an A minor chord. If B was actually tuned up to C, you'd have to add more fingers, and that would mess things up. So we won't get into that right now, but just know that when you're going from the low string, you can go up 2 strings and up 2 frets to get an octave. Same with the 2nd string, but when you get to the 3rd string, you have to go 4. There's a span of 1, 2, 3, 4. So go up 2 strings and up 3 frets. And you've got it there. It sounds like it's slightly out of tune, but right there. Then on the 4th string right here, same thing. You have to have that 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 2 strings, up 3 frets. Okay? So I'll use octaves. So my 2 landmarks are the open strings and the 12th fret. Learning the notes on the 1st, 2nd, and 5th strings, which you already know the 6th string if you know the lowest 1st string. So by learning those 3 positions, I can always find octaves. And you just have to keep in mind that the top 2 are a span of 1, 2, 3, 4 frets, and the lower 2 are a span of 1, 2, 3 frets. Okay? Now, the 3rd thing I use is just patterns. If you look at that piano keyboard again, you'll see that between B and C, then you've got D and E separated by a black note as well. But once you get to E, now you've got no black notes, so you have an F. So I like to think of that as symmetry. Let's look at the high E string. We've got E and F. Okay? If I bring those up here, E and F, and I go down to B and C, look what happens. I've got F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B. So there's that no black note B, C, and no black note E, F. I like to think that there's only one note in between those. So I've got B, C, D, then E, F. So if I know where all my D's are, I know if I go down 2 frets, I'm going to have a half step B and C. And if I go up 2 frets, I'm going to have a half step E and F. So I know there's a D here, right? I go up a fret, or 2 frets, excuse me. Now I've got E and F. If I go down 2 frets, I've got B, C. I find a D on the 2nd fret right here. I've got E, F up here 2 frets, and I've got B, C down here 2 frets. So I've got B, C, D in the middle, E, F. B, C, D, E, F. If I find another D using octaves, here's D. D, E, F, D, B, C, B, C, middle D, E, F. Okay, I've got a D right here on the lowest string. So 2 frets lower, C, and there's your B and C. 2 frets higher is E and F. So that really can be valuable when you're finding notes real quick. Like I'm playing here and I'm like, oh, that's a D. So I know I've got, there's E and F and G, and D and C and B. It just kind of, there's D, E, F, D, B, C, B. It just helps me find the notes I'm looking for a little bit faster. And keep in mind that all my examples are using just the white notes on the keyboard for right now. You can find all the other notes in between very easy. If you know this is a D, then you know that's a D flat. You know if that's a D, that's a D sharp. So that's a little bit easier to find that way. I also noticed that if I find an A, okay, then B and C, that half step with no black note in between, is 2 frets above. So A, but if I look at G, and I go down 2 frets, I'm to that E, F half step. So if I know I've got a G, then I've got F, E, and if I've got an A, I've got a B, C. And that's kind of symmetrical if you look. If you imagine a mirror right along this fret, you've got 1, 3, 4. And down here you've got 1, 3, 4. If you think of it that way, it's a mirror reflection. So here's another G right here. So go down to F and E, go up to the A, and I can go up to the B and C. Here's an A, B, C, go down to G, F, E. Here's an A, B, C, go down to G, F, E. So those are just some things that I use when I'm trying to find notes on the guitar. And what I recommend that you do for practice is take the file that I have linked down there, and I've kind of randomly picked all 11 possible notes that there are for you to play. And if you notice, it'll start with an A. Just while you're watching TV, just go around and go, okay, I'm going to find every A I can. So A, I'll use an octave. Up 2 strings, up 3. There's another A. Here's an A. Okay, here's an A. Here's an A. Go up 2 frets and up 3. There's another A. Here's an A. Okay, let's see. D's next. All right, here's a D. Here's a D, because I went up 2 strings and up 2 frets. Okay, the open string is a D, but that's on the 1, 2, 3rd string down, so I'm going to have to use that little more of a stretch octave. So I'll go up 2 strings and up 1, 2, 3 frets. So there I've got another D. I've got a D, an octave D, another D, a D here, because the 12th fret is the same as the lower fret. Don't let this overwhelm you. Take your own speed and time and do that. Now let's find Fs. That's another cool one I just thought of. I know this F right here on the 6th fret of the 5th string down, F. Now, if you go 1, 2, 3 strings down and 2 up, you can get an octave there too. That might be one you want to be able to use as well. And then, to really give your brain a challenge, if you feel you're getting good at that, I like to try to make music out of them. So the first note on the chart that I gave you was an A. So find an A and then play something musical from that. So find another A. Find another A. Maybe put a metronome on and let that click and try to keep going with that. Then go to D. F. Don't even worry about staying in the same key. C. That's another way to practice. Another one is to do a repeated figure and then find all the notes. Like go. Alright, I'm going to find an A. Now I'm going to find D. That'll help you with jumping your pick around on your right hand. And then S. You know, that kind of a thing. But play around with that. This is not very musical. It's more of an exercise, but learning the notes and being able to find them very quickly is definitely going to be helpful. But make it musical. Make all your practices musical. Instead of just going around going A, 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 A. Do what I said before. Go. and that'll help you kind of connect this to my intro video for my channel. So until next time, I'm Mike Andrews, Swiss Army Guitar. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. Please like and subscribe below if you like what you see. See you next time.